Here we are at the entrance of Sligo Creek Trail at Dennis Avenue. First, we're asking students to take a look at the creek. Point source pollutants are ones that we know where they're coming from. As water drains off the roads, it is dumped into the creek. Sligo Creek does lots of data monitoring. Notice where all of the monitoring sites are located. Dissolved oxygen levels can vary throughout the year. Levels of dissolved oxygen will fluctuate. When it's colder, there's more dissolved oxygen in the water. Warmer months, there's less dissolved oxygen available. Other types of data is monitored, including nitrogen levels. Also, turbidity. Turbidity is how cloudy the water is. This could be due to silt, erosion, or it could be from tannins in the water as plant matter decays. At Sligo Creek, you can see lots of different types of parts of wildlife, and the Friends of Sligo Creek post signs on a regular basis with informative pamphlets. Nitrogen levels in the water are important to note. They can be due to fertilizers and also from animal waste. Pet owners are encouraged to pick up their animal waste. Here we see a fallen tree covered in decomposers. Here we have shelf fungus. Shelf fungus is heterotrophic. It works to absorb nutrients from dead debris. Oftentimes, fallen trees or dead trees are not removed from a forest, and that's because they serve as important habitat for many of the birds and insects in the forest. The trill you just heard is from a woodpecker. Some of the first forms of photosynthesizing organisms are the mosses or bryophytes. They're not vascularized, they do not get tall, but instead work to get sunlight, absorb sunlight. The mosses or bryophytes are considered primitive plants that would have evolved first before the vascularized trees and bushes. That trill there is a woodpecker. I'm not sure what species. We've got flickers, we've got hairy or downy woodpeckers, and here we have the pileated woodpecker. We read an article about the ivory-billed woodpecker. It's an extinct, or now extinct, relative of the pileated. The pileated woodpecker is considerably large. With that red crest, it's actually one of the easiest ones to spot. One thing to note is that woodpeckers will search for their food beneath the layers of bark by using vibrations in order to determine where a meal might be located, and then boring in to catch the meal. Next up, we have, perhaps hiding behind some fallen trees or rocks, we have skinks. Five-line skinks are reptiles. They're actually related to snakes and turtles as reptiles. And that blue tail that you saw is distinct in luring a potential predator to reach for the tail instead of the main body. The tail will detach, and the skink can grow a new one. Most of this forest canopy is from a yellow or tulip poplar. The yellow or tulip poplar gets its name from the yellow tulip-like blossoms this time of year. These trees are tall, and the canopy creates lots of shade. During the fall, almost the entire canopy is yellow. As the tulip poplar, as the chloroplasts are breaking down and the pigments break down, it's going to be mostly the yellow pigments that we're able to see. Next up is poison ivy. I can see here it might have fallen off. Poison ivy comes with a saying, leaves of 3, let it be. And you can find it growing on trees as vines or growing low to the ground. Leaves of 3, let it be. Poison ivy can best be dealt with if you are allergic or you think you've come in contact. Even if you don't know if you're allergic, you should wash with warm water and soap as soon as you get back home. The poison ivy is one good reason we stay on trail at all times. If we listen in the forest, we have our best chance at identifying species of birds that live here. Each species has a distinct call. The chickadee says its own name, and oftentimes, if you listen close enough, you might be able to hear the call of the eastern towhee saying, "Drink your tea." That concludes our tour as we're making our way back towards Sligo Middle School. I want everyone to think about what is it you can do to help protect our natural areas and the watershed here at Sligo Creek. We are a part of a bigger watershed called the Anacostia River watershed. Here are some suggestions of how you can make a difference. That's all for now. Thanks.